Welcome to Podjunction, where business meets podcasting. Whether you're on a morning jog, driving to work, whipping up a meal, or just simply taking a minute for yourself, our weekly bite-sized episodes promise fresh insights from successful podcasters who have cracked the code of using podcasts to grow their business. So whether you're a podcasting newbie or a seasoned podcaster, this episode is for you.
Wow, very warm welcome to you on a brand new episode of Podjunction, the podcast that talks about podcasting. As Dan Badai said, very meta. So we are a meta podcast, Podjunction, talking about how to use podcasting to grow your business. Very warm welcome to you. My name is Matt Edmundson. Beside me is the beautiful fly swatting Sadaf Beynon. We have a fly in the studio that is slightly annoying right now, to the point where Sadaf has taken to violence to try and solve the problem. And so if you're watching the video and see the notebook raising up suddenly or Sadaf twitching suddenly, it's because of the fly. Dun, 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 the fly. You can point it out, but thank you. Appreciate it. I can see it.
Quick, get it.
Yeah, quick, get it. I wish I don't have a... That didn't work. I need chopsticks. Did you ever watch the movie Karate Kid, the original 80s version of it?
No.
With Mr. Miyagi catching flies with chopsticks.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you've missed out. You have missed out. One of the most amazing parts of film history ever was when, when Daniel-san walked in and just caught a fly within 5 minutes with his chopsticks.
With his chopsticks, I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of in school when the boys would come up behind you and pull your hair out, and then they grab a fly and tie it around the fly, and then they would...
What kind of school did you go to?
I don't know. I don't know what went through their heads, but it hurt.
Wow. Yeah, we didn't do that at my school.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Just a quick poll. Did anybody else go to a school where you pulled out the girl's hair and tied flies up with it? Was it just Sadaf? I don't know.
And let them fly around.
And let them
fly. You can control it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so on that bombshell, I feel like my childhood is missing something right now. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, so today, what we got coming up?
We have another segment from Eagan Heath.
So you're just picturing Eagan Heath lassoing flies with her.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So he's talking about the unexpected benefits of podcasting and also touching on how his podcast has evolved.
Very good. The unexpected benefits of podcasting. The unexpected benefits of hosting a podcast with you as I find out all the stuff that I missed out on. It just brings my Mr. Miyagi story into nothing, really. So are we going into that or are we doing a question?
I have a question.
Okay.
So if you could do a podcast, yet another podcast.
Because I'm missing a few in my life.
Yes, you are. You've got a few more to do, the quota. And you had to do one that was super, super, super niche. Niche?
Niche.
Niche.
Yeah. It's how you say it in America. Niche is how we say it here in, real England. And I have no idea how it's pronounced in Canada.
Niche? A bit of both, I'm going to go with. So, I don't know, maybe the life cycle of a fly. What would it be?
A podcast called The Life Cycle of a Fly. Oh, wow. Super niche or niche, what would it be? I would love to do a podcast on maybe just on something. I've not got the ability to do it, but if I could, just doing something like on the Back to the Future trilogy.
Okay.
That would be like super niche. And just do a podcast which does nothing but talk about Back to the Future and the implications of it and what would actually happen, and the science behind it or something like that. Or maybe if I wanted to get really geeky, I would do a podcast with my son who has just got his master's in theoretical physics for some reason. I don't know why. And just do a podcast on the science of the movie Interstellar.
Oh, wow.
Which would be even more niche because there's only one movie, whereas at Back to the Future, we've got 3 films to talk about.
So maybe you could do a podcast on movies and do series.
Yeah, but that's not niche then, is it?
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah, you're violating the laws of your own question.
Okay. But what your first idea, it reminded me of a podcast that is based on the TV show, the American TV show, The Office.
Oh, okay.
Which I know you haven't seen.
Yeah, no, Zoe, my daughter's a big fan.
Yeah, I know she is. So yeah, that's fun to listen to.
Okay, so what would your podcast be? Super niche podcast.
The life cycle of a fly, because I want to kill this thing.
Podcast 406 ways on how to effectively get rid of flies out of your podcast studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 4 listeners will be really enthralled by that podcast.
Maybe it should be called Dumb Ways to Die.
Did you ever come across the Darwin Awards? Have you ever come across this?
No.
So the Darwin Awards is, I don't even know if it's still around. It used to be really popular years ago. It was an award given to people who died in really stupid ways. And so, I mean, we shouldn't joke about people's deaths, but some of the ways that people had died, like, I remember a couple of them. One guy who was enraged about, he put his money into one of these dispensers. You put your dollar in or whatever, and it gives you your cookie or whatever.
Quarters or something.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if he'd actually put money in, but I think he was trying to shake it to get it out. Yeah. He shook it so violently it fell on him and crushed him to death.
Oh my gosh.
So he got the Darwin Award. There's another guy who, how true these stories are, I don't know, but this is, you just Google the Darwin Awards. There's another guy who perhaps the one that sticks out most in my memory is a guy, have you ever heard the phrase, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to do that, right?
Yeah.
This guy was a rocket scientist and he put a rocket on his car. He put this sort of massive jet on his car and decided to see how fast it would go, only to realize that his brakes were not capable of stopping a car that was jet powered. Just didn't upgrade his brakes. Anyway, apparently him and a cliff became friends, became intimately entwined. So
really shouldn't laugh, but...
Oh yeah, they're just hysterical, and it's bad to laugh at people's deaths. But who knows how I'm gonna, depart this earth? Maybe I'll get a Darwin Award at some point. No, my stupid, way of approaching life. But here it goes. Anyway, on to less morbid things. Now you could do a niche podcast on the Darwin Awards. That would be quite funny.
Okay.
Just sit and laugh all day. Anyway, if you like any of the ideas, please do steal them, because we're not actually going to do them. But obviously, you're more than welcome to. Don't know how well they'll work to grow your business, but, have at it.
Fun times.
So I'm going to play the clip, and then we'll be back to Conversation Street. Don't go anywhere.
Would you be able to share with us any unexpected benefits from when you first started and where you're at now?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I really do enjoy it. Is the plain and simple of it, or it's like, we can talk the monetization, we can talk about, does this get us referrals? Does this get us leads? Does it maybe even get us, people who could buy our courses? In some cases, we're developing courses out of some of the content or the topics that are hot topics like Google Shopping and things like that. But for me, it's just like many of us in this field work all day on our computers, maybe by ourselves, maybe we're on Zoom. My business partner and I now have an office that we share, so we see each other in person there sometimes. But it's like, it can be so isolating, all the work we do. And so to get together with other people we've never met before and like get to know them and talk, to me, it fills me up, it lights me up. So it's like, I'm never going to stop. Is it always going to be what's working in e-commerce? I'm always thinking of what are other shows I could be doing. And I've mentioned I've following the lead here on even Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. I think he's got 8 or 12 podcasts, business podcasts. Wow. Many of them are often in the top ones on the Apple Business Podcasts or on iTunes. So he's really found it where this is his sweet spot. He can kind of show up. He's got other people doing the production and editing and publication. He can kind of show up and riff and be spontaneous.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like, it's a way to meet new people. It's a way to learn new things. It's a way to like get out of the weeds on any client work we're doing or anything I'm doing for our marketing or our business development. So for that, I've kind of said as we went like, okay, this is going so-so, or like, okay, we've put quite a few episodes out and invested a lot in this, frankly. What's the ROI? I think there is that perspective, but it's also just like, I'm growing my network. I'm learning things. I'm meeting people. I'm doing something novel in the middle of the day that's different than the other things. So for that reason, it's like, I'm always going to have a podcast. So that's it. It's just, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So that's what keeps you going.
I think so. Yeah. And And I'm always, I'm not even necessarily tied to the show. I think it's what's working in e-commerce will continue because we serve e-commerce clients at Asymmetric Marketing. And now I've got with Mark and my business partner, it's like now we do Amazon. So we've had all these people that were Amazon experts. We always kind of stayed out of Amazon. We did, direct to consumer, helping market through the website directly. And now it's like, okay, we've got this other service. I can be having my business partner, Mark, come on and do more with that. Yeah. But it's also like we do have clients where there's local service businesses. We do lead generation for them. What's the podcast for that? We've worked with people in senior living, assisted living. And I'm just like, maybe we have a special podcast where it's 12 episodes or something, but it's here's SEO for senior living. Here's Google ads for senior living. Here's how you do marketing strategy for senior living. Yeah. Just have it out there, right? So when someone searches and they find it, I think Google's going to be doing more and more, in terms of, often you see YouTube results, right? On the Google result page. Yeah. I think we're going to see more and more podcasts there as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How would you say your podcast has evolved?
Yeah, I think it's a constant iteration of just how do we do this a little better, right? And one of the things is, and there's a term for this in podcasting, but I don't know it, is even just skip right to the point of like have a little teaser at the front. So the first thing people hear or the first thing that people see is somebody like just giving a gold nugget and then like drawing them in. And I think it's particularly important on YouTube. If it's depressing when you watch your YouTube analytics or anything, you can actually see the drop-off rate. And one is just people are, they're kind of clicking around. They see a video. If you go right to your intro and blah, 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 here's your music and here's your, here's the animations and stuff. I think you've got to draw them in more. So that's one where it's like, give someone a hook. That's like just a gold gem right from the episode, right at the top and get them excited. I think there's room also for afterward recording the intro again I haven't gotten good at this yet where I'm not doing standard every time, but I think if we were to really professionalize this and do it better is we kind of have our standard intro, standard outro, etc. But I think the best podcasts I listen to, I really enjoy like Tropical MBA podcast, for example. I think they go back and say, here's what we talk about, and you're going to enjoy this and that, where you're just teasing it. It's like good copywriting. It's like the headline matters, the name of the episode matters, but also whatever you're saying in those first few ones, it's like this whole thing in copywriting. The headline matters as much as the rest of your article, your ad, or whatever it is. Yeah. So it's like really nail that first piece and get better and better at trying to retain people like that. So I think that would be the next step for us too.
Yeah. At the moment, do you just record all the way through? So you go from the intro straight, or do you put that in later? How do you do it?
Yeah. And that's just kind of maybe part of my laziness of there's so many ways to make it better. I'm sure people would watch it and see it right away. Hey, fix this, fix that, or an experienced podcaster like Matt would know exactly what to change. I think some of it is just that diminishing returns thing of, okay, how much time do we put into this? But at some point, hey, Miriam, let's make this standard, or have your assistant just say, we do it this way every time. Let's make sure we're sitting down and spending the time on that. So you had asked about the pre-meeting call. I think a pre-meeting call is a great idea. For me, I'm just like, let's do that kind of before we record. And so we do that. I try to do the intro at the time. I often just totally butcher people's names and have to do that multiple times. So that's a major source of me having to redo the intros. And so I'm mostly recording them all in one go, but I think there's value in, like I said, it's spontaneous. We don't know what people are going to say. We don't want it to be too scripted. Part of the reason I think people like podcasts is it's like overhearing a conversation. It's a little more organic, but then you go back and say, okay, here's the structure. Here's kind of the stuff we talked about, and just tease each of those things, like use good marketing curiosity. So I think there's value in going back and redoing the intro. I'm selling myself on this as I think.
If that got you curious and you want to catch the full episode, be sure to subscribe to the show. We've got plenty more great conversations coming up.
Welcome back. Sadaf just he's whispering. What was it you were whispering then?
That's something we should do, yes. I was agreeing.
We just realized it in the mid-roll, what we call the mid-roll, where Sadaf goes, if you like that and you want to check out the full episode, it should say full interview. And so we've just realized on our own stuff, we've made an error. So we're going to fix that at some point. And actually, now we've said it on the podcast, you'll be
looking out for it.
They'll be like, they didn't fix that until 8 podcasts later. You'll see how quick our production process here is at Podjunction. So we're too busy doing other people's podcasts to get our own sorted out properly. But yeah, I've just, to be fair, I've only just noticed it myself anyway. So if you want to listen to the full interview with Eagan Heath, we will put that on the Podjunction podcast. We're going to start doing this where we put the full interview with our guests after we've had a few episodes with them. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And you don't need to do anything extra to get hold of that. That's just going to be on the podcast platform. And so, yeah, you obviously will just label it like full interview or something like that. So check that out. We're going to start doing that more and more. All the full interviews will start to appear on the feed, which is good. So originally we put them behind a wall, didn't we? We called it Podjunction Plus, Podjunction Cohort. Okay. And we said, no, let's not do that. Let's just put the full interview out there as well. So you just get the interview without us talking about it, which is maybe more interesting for a lot of people, to be fair. I don't know. We'll find out. So anyway, that actually, for me, I loved what Eagan was saying there. The two things which stood out to me: one, he does it because he enjoys it, the unexpected benefits. So yes, you get all of the positive aspects of podcasting in terms of growing your business, but fundamentally he does it and keeps doing it because he enjoys it. And that's something that we don't talk about enough. I think it is a really enjoyable medium.
Yeah. Actually, when he was talking, I was thinking of you because you've said that as well.
Have I?
Oh, yeah. Off camera, obviously. But yeah.
Go me.
Yeah. The fact that you can just show up and have these great conversations, meet great people.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely talked about that, haven't we? You know, you can show up to the podcast. You have these, like you say, these great conversations. You get to meet all kinds of people from all over the world. Some of whom actually you'll never talk to again. Some of whom become good friends. Some of whom just stay, regular acquaintances to the business. And you're building your network either way. But they're just fascinating stories. But I would be the same as Eagan. Underneath all of this, I do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I'd go find another way to do lead generation and build networks for my company, is what I would do. But as things currently stand, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy podcasting and I enjoy live streaming, two things that I really enjoy. And the thing that I've noticed more and more is I enjoy doing them with other people. Like I enjoyed this podcast format with you because we laugh a lot more than if it was just... I enjoy the interviews with Eagan because I find out stuff about him and I get to pick his brains and I get to ask the questions, which was a beautiful thing. But I also enjoy, this co-hosting format. And we do this on the live streams as well, this co-hosting thing. And I think it's good fun.
It is fun.
So, yes.
Yeah.
What else did you get out of that?
He was talking about... his new business partner, and how they're moving into the Amazon space, which they weren't in before.
Yeah.
And then they've got like a lead generation part of their business, and so on and so forth. And he was talking about having a podcast for each one of those parts of the business.
Niching that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called it a special podcast, didn't he? Even limited edition, limited episode podcasts.
Yeah.
Which I actually quite like as a concept. It's like, we're actually just going to do this as a limited run of podcasts, and we're going to talk about, and I've subscribed to quite a few of those. And they're quite an interesting podcast form. It's not one necessarily I would recommend for networking because that's going to be sort of ongoing, but doing these sort of side ones as special one-off projects, I think is really interesting as an idea. Yeah,
for content. And like he's spoken in a previous episode where he had a client listening to his stuff and then, ready to sign on the bottom on the dotted line without even having had that conversation. So if you're producing that kind of content, people will buy into you, won't they?
They will. And I think it's interesting because one of the things that I've noticed more and more, I mean, Eagan talked about actually creating courses, didn't he? One of the things that I think has been a big seismic shift over recent months has been, years ago we would do the courses and people would subscribe to the courses and they would buy them. I actually think it's harder to get people to buy a course now than ever. And it's moved more to membership and community aspects, which I think is an interesting move. But one of the things that I see now, and I think people like Alex Hormozy have championed this more recently. I don't think it's all from Alex, but I think there are other people that champion, but he's probably the biggest voice at the moment, is actually giving away your content for free. Now, I appreciate this is going to be very dependent on industry and so on and so forth. But one of the things that we've been thinking around with e-commerce podcasts, for example, is the courses that we used to sell, putting them out there for free and probably doing that as a limited run podcast.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And putting that out there and going, right, this is a podcast which is specifically related to a course. So it's going to have, like 12 key lessons or however many it is, right? And they're split out over, say, 24 episodes, but it's limited. So the reason why I think that works is because you have a beginning and an end, right? So if I subscribe to a podcast, I automatically know this is going to just keep going and going until I stop subscribing.
Yeah.
Whereas I've subscribed to podcasts, the ones that I'm thinking of, there was one done by which was an investigation into the BBC's relationship with Stonewall. Okay. Which is in the UK. It's an organisation, I suppose you'd call it a lobbying organisation, is it? And the relationship between the BBC and Stonewall, and it was a limited edition run, and it was absolutely fascinating and enthralling. But when it ended, it was right that it ended. Yeah. They didn't try and keep stringing it out and then go, well, let's talk about the BBC's relationship with the Crown or the BBC's. It was just like, no, it was this one particular topic set. And I thought that was really good. Another one that I've listened to, that I subscribed to, that was a limited edition. I don't know, there's probably a name for it, but just like a specific run of shows. And then that was it. Was The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. Oh, yeah. With the controversial church leader, Mark Driscoll. And they did an entire series about how this thing grew in massive popularity and how it almost overnight fell and caused chaos and mayhem. Yeah. And again, absolutely fascinating. And it wasn't an ongoing thing. Yeah, I think it was very limited series, I think. Yeah. So I like that. I like that as an idea. And I think as Eagan was talking, I was like, actually the stuff that we've been thinking about redoing the courses, we could release as these kind of mini series. Podcasts and bring the course into that content and see what actually happens as a result. Now, people might say, well, aren't you afraid you're going to lose out with the course income? And on one hand, I could say yes, because obviously we're not charging for it. But on the other hand, it will bring in more leads for the acquisition side of the company that have where we take over the people, where the service side, where we help people with services. And so I think it will help our business more than it will hinder it. But and this is why we've taken the full interviews, I suppose. Yeah. From behind the sort of, the wall, the cohort where you have to pay to be a member. We've taken that out from behind the wall, bring that out, put more free stuff out. Yeah. Now, again, we will start doing something like with Podjunction. We're going to be starting a mastermind group. Is that right? Yeah. We've not got a name for it yet. Probably Podjunction cohort. But we're going to be doing the same with EP, where, podcasters who, if you're a podcaster and you're out there, come join the group, come join the community, and network with other podcasters, pick each other's brains. We can talk about stuff, and do events and things like that. And I think that's a bit more interesting, really, going back to old school community. Maybe bring some accountability groups in there. That, who knows? We've not totally decided yet how it's going to work. But I think that would be fascinating. I really like that. So that was point number one. And the other thing that he said, which I've taken lots of notes on, we've dabbled with this whole let's do a thing on the start of the podcast where we take a clip, we put it at the start, and we looked at the data and we go, did it move the needle? And we were like, no. And it felt like it was a lot of energy and effort at the time. I say a lot of energy and effort. You have to find the clip and put it on the start of the video is what you have to do. It's not, it's half an hour's worth of work, I suppose, for somebody. But we found that by doing that, it didn't really move the needle on engagement. But what I have noticed is people like Diary of the CEO, Steve Bartlett, their hook at the start is actually much more involved. It's not just a clip; it's like a string of clips, isn't it? Yeah. I like what Eagan was saying with the fact that he wants to re-record the intro and say, "Hey guys, this is what we're going to talk about." I had this great. Kerry Newhoff does this. Okay. If you ever listen to his leadership podcast, he does this where he goes, I talk with Eagan Heath, and in this, we're going to talk about this, and this.
Yeah.
And so you know what's coming up. And whilst I don't think just showing a little clip at the start worked well for us, because it didn't really move the needle, which is why we stopped doing it, there is a conversation, I think, to be had now about, do we jazz up the intro a little bit more? Of course, the caveat to that is, what's the cost? And so at the moment, it's just really, the way we do podcasts is really easy. We turn up, we record the whole thing. We talk, whenever I do the e-commerce podcast, there's always the introduction. I do it at the same time. I do the outro. So when it's edited, or when it comes to editing, it's just,
really simple.
It's a lot easier, isn't it? Whereas now we're going to start to overcomplicate it. And so it's a case of, if we did do that, what are the costs?
Yeah.
It's obviously, you've got developers' time, you've got editors' time, but also I've got to go and find the time to re-record that intro, unless somebody else records the intro. Like you could do all the intros.
Could do it, yeah.
Or whoever. Do you know what I mean? I suppose you could. And in today's e-commerce podcast, Matt's going to talk to Eagan about ... So grab your notebooks and listen up. Yeah. You're not going to want to go anywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Yeah. What do you think? You're the producer. Would you do it? Would you not?
I think his argument for it is really strong, because when you're, as he said, when you've got a marketing piece and you're trying to figure out what it is that you're looking at, having something right up front that's just to the point, you know exactly what it is, and you decide, do I want to stick it through? Do I not? Do I just want to listen to the first part, the second part, third part? I think that makes a lot of sense, because sometimes, for podcasts, you start listening and you're like, oh, actually, I'm not really feeling this, but there could be something later on in the podcast that you would have enjoyed, but you don't know because the first part didn't grab you in the same way that you would have hoped. Yeah,
that's a fair point. And I think, I subscribe, as you'd imagine, to a lot of podcasts. So if I open up my podcast app, which is Snipped, by the way, people always want to know what podcast app I use. It's Snipped. The reason I use Snipped, SNIPD, I think. The reason I use that is because when you're listening to the podcast, you can tap the player at a key point, and it will highlight that part.
Okay.
And it will send you that transcript, that clip. So it's like, cool. I can take notes now on podcasts. Whereas before you would always have to listen to a podcast and write stuff down. Now you don't with Snipped. It just does it all for you. But if I scroll down my very long list here of podcasts to listen to, the first thing I do is I look at the title, right? So I've got the Times one, the politics one, the red, what's it called? I don't know, something. The red box politics thing or something. Anyway, I really like that because it's just a really interesting conversation about. So his title is The Exit Interviews Robert Halfon. I don't care. So I would just go, right, archive that. I'm not interested in listening to that, right? I've got Kerry Newhoff. Matt Chandler opens up about hitting the wall. Yeah, again, I'm not interested. So I can archive that. So for me, the most important thing is the title. The title decides whether or not I'm going to listen to it. So if I click into it, so I've got here Freakonomics Radio, another great podcast. It says extra, the opioid tragedy, how we got here, talking about the opioid tragedy in the States. So if I click on that, the next thing I then see is the show notes. And it just says here, an update of our 2020 series in which we spoke with physicians, research and addicts about the root causes of the crisis and the tension between abstinence and harm reduction. So I'm into the show notes. And actually, this is where I think show notes play an important part, because show notes obviously summarize what you're saying. And I wonder whether actually it's thinking about this intro just to sort of add a bit extra to what Eagan is saying, that yes, I think redoing the intros would be ideal. It's not always possible. Mm-hmm. But one of the key things to work on for me is the title and the first 4 or 5 lines of your show notes, because that's what people see on a player. They see the first 4 or 5 lines of the show notes. It's what people see on YouTube, in the YouTube description. Mm-hmm. It's the first, I don't know how many characters it is. We could figure it out. So in those first 4 lines, to not say things like, oh, this is the e-commerce podcast, blah, blah, blah. Just say, in this episode, or we cover, points, just separate it out, which are easy to read. Mm-hmm. In this episode, ... ... And you just cover. And so instantly from the title and the show notes, I can know what the podcast episode is all about. And what I do notice, if I then will listen to that podcast, I'll listen to it all the way through.
Yeah.
I'm not likely to clear off halfway through. So it gets me more engaged.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting idea.
I like it.
Okay. We'll keep you. Watch what happens, ladies and gentlemen. That said, I would not change how we introduce the Podjunction.
You would not?
No, it's not like we'd record it and then go back and go, right,
No.
in this episode, Sadaf and I talk about ...
No.
I wouldn't do any highlights either.
No.
I maybe would just, because I think people have got used to the format. Okay, he's going to play a jingle.
Yeah.
There's going to be usually a bit of banter. Normally, Matt draws attention to something that you've done, which is funny.
Yes.
That's what happens when Matt introduces the show. Then we have a clip, then we have the talky bits. The format's quite simple. I don't know how I'd redo the intro for this, other than we might get to the point quicker. I suppose we could play a hook. We could play a snippet of the show earlier.
No, I like it. I think for the interview, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's certainly long episodes.
Yeah.
Over and out. I'm looking at the time now. We've overrun.
Yeah, we better
wrap it up. Sorry, I was rabbiting on there, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happens when you get people like Eagan on board. He makes you think. And so what you basically heard is me just verbally processing some ideas. Welcome to Sadaf's life. She has to sit and listen to me verbally process all of the time. What do you do? Do you just normally zone out and think about all the things you've got to do at home?
No, I don't. I stay engaged, and then I tell you all the parts where you're wrong, and all the parts where you could have thought about it a different way.
Yeah. No. Welcome to my life, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast from, because of course we've got. Yeah, I don't know why I hit the desk. We've got the fly. We've got more still here. The fly has stayed with us. It's obviously really engaged. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, make sure, like I say, because we've got some more great conversations coming your way. And I don't want you to miss any of them because they're just going to be fun. And hopefully you find it interesting and helpful. If you do, would love for you to leave a review. I know it's not always straightforward because you might be driving, you might be walking the dog, you might go, Matt, I don't want to leave you a review. But if you're a podcaster, you know the importance of reviews. So do leave us a review of the show. We would greatly appreciate it. And anybody got any tips on how to get rid of flies, just let us know because we've got a problem.
It'll probably still be here next week.
Awesome. Great. Anything else from you?
Nope.
Awesome. Have a great week. See you later.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode at Podjunction. If you've enjoyed the insights from this episode and want to hear the full conversation with today's special guest, don't forget to visit podjunction.com, where you'll find more information about how you can join Podjunction cohort. Whether you listened while on the go or in a quiet moment, thank you for letting us be a part of your day. Remember, every episode is a chance to gain insights and to transform your business with podcasting. So keep on tuning in, keep on learning, and until next time, happy podcasting.